welcome back to some more news. Another regular, semi-regular news bulletin about drones, model aircraft and other things that we fly by remote control. And heading it up, well, got to talk about this one. Apparently there has been another, allegedly, got to emphasize allegedly, there's been another collision between a helicopter and a drone. Now, let me get it quite straight. Right from the get-go, if anyone is stupid enough to fly their drone or model aircraft or anything in a manner that constitutes a danger to other people's property or their lives, they're an idiot. I'm not going to try and excuse them for one single solitary second, but we need to look at the facts. Now, there is no actual evidence that this was a drone. There is speculation, there is belief, but there is no hard evidence. There were no bits of drone found stuck in the helicopter. There was a hole in what looks like the horizontal stabilizer or the vertical stabilizer of the helicopter. It pierced the aluminum, if you're in America, scratched the paint. So there's obviously something collided with it. We don't know what for sure, but it could have been a drone or a model aircraft. Now look at this, I'm sitting here. I've been here all morning. I start to make a video. This is the first aircraft that has flown overhead all day. What, have they got a camera in here? Are they looking to see when I start filming? I don't know, anyway, moving on from that. So yeah, now the takeaway from this is, even if it was a drone, then again, all the doomsayers that say, oh, if a drone and a helicopter collide, people will die. Well, that's been proven to be wrong on several occasions now. And this was quite a severe collision. The people in the helicopter heard it, felt it, landed, no damage, no injuries to people, no loss of life. So again, it's another data point we should be considering here, because we're being told constantly that, you know, if a drone hits the tail of a helicopter, then everyone's going to die. Well, this drone hit the tail of a helicopter, as happened in the case of the Hughes 500 down in Baja, which was filming the Baja races some years ago now. That struck the tail of a helicopter, and it was a big drone. I think it was a Matrice, and nobody died. And in that case, the helicopter had to be trailered away. In this case, I think the helicopter was still quite flyable. But it goes to show people are overstating the risks, and it brings us back to the whole thing that I've been arguing for years, is you cannot make sensible regulation if you don't know the risks. If you don't know what the actual risks are and what the scale and magnitude of the risk is, until you know that, your regulations are either going to be too strong or too weak. You're just guessing at it. Guessing at it's not the way to go. So no regulator, as far as I'm aware, has done a full risk analysis of the issue of drones. So they're all just plucking stuff out of their tiny backsides. Actually, they've got really big backsides. They sit on their bums all day, I think. And all those biscuits, scones and coffee just makes your bum big. Don't ask me how I know. So that's the first piece of news today. What do you think of that? Comments, to the comments with you. I mean, obviously, if that was a drone and I could catch the guy that did it, he would not be happy with what I did to him. Honestly, it'd make the helicopter damage look like nothing. I would beat the snot out of it. Oh, can't say that, I'll get demonetized. And in other news, DJI have updated the firmware in their digital video system, and DJI have sent me a set of their digital system. Good on you, DJI. I haven't got one of those Orcas or any Fat Shark HDO2s or anything. They don't care, but DJI do care. And so, hey, thumbs up to you. If you're looking to buy something, then you support the people that support this channel. That's what I say. Well, both my channels, actually. So that's the changes to the firmware. It has answered, or it has addressed a number of issues that people had. Firstly, there was some latency on the analog input. Now, when I flew the analog input on the DJI goggles, I was flying the sub 250. I didn't notice any latency because it's fixed wing, it flies relatively slow. On a quad, people were noticing the latency. Well, they fixed that apparently. The latency is uber low now. So excellent news. So if you're looking for a set of goggles, even for your analog stuff, well, maybe the DJI is now a firm competitor, because they've also added DVR capabilities. And not just some tatty, horrible little $2 DVR chip. They have enough bandwidth and enough resolution to do a really good job of recording SD footage on their goggles. So the DVR now works in SD mode through the analog input. That's brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. And one other thing that will make lots of people happy is that the Betaflight OSD is now implemented on the goggles. Well, not all of it, some of it, most of it is. And it's done rather cleverly. And obviously there's no way to overlay it on the end, the air unit end. So I think what they're doing is they're sending all the data back via telemetry and then building the OSD at the goggle end so it overlays the image, which is kind of cool, kind of good. There will be a bit of latency in that overlay compared perhaps to the onboard OSD that operates on the air unit, but nothing to worry about. Things that are missing, unfortunately, are the home arrow. That's the one thing that I would like to see, a home arrow, because when I fly, I don't like a lot of OSD. I like to be able to see. If you're going to get digital, why do you want to look at lines and numbers, and you want to look at the picture, the beautiful vista that you get from the DJI digital system? So yeah, all I'd really want is the home arrow and battery voltage. That's all I want on an OSD, but you can configure it such as you do with normal Betaflight OSD. Just go through the Betaflight OSD, bing, 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 and it's done. Oh, hello, someone's calling me. And it's done, which is great. But home arrow, please, apparently that's coming. It will be further down the track. Probably a lot more data has to be sent for the home arrow. And I may be wrong about how they're doing the OSD. I don't have my DJI goggles yet, because New Zealand Customs have decided that I must jump through very big hoops at great heights and altitudes, and I just send me an invoice. NZ Customs, send me an invoice for the duty and taxes, I'll pay it, and then give me my product. Oh no, can't do that. No, you've got to do this and that. We want a copy of your birth certificate and your firstborn's fingerprints and your mother's panty size. Oh, it's just terrible. Oh, bureaucrats, what do you do with them? Anyway, so that's the changes to DJI's product. Now in the UK, oh blighty, if you're going to fly a craft weighing more than 250 grams, you should have registered by now. You should have paid your £9 and gone on the offenders list. Only, I think the headline I saw this morning said about 80,000 drone owners in the UK could be flying illegally because they haven't registered. To which I say, yes, don't you register. The people that have registered, what sellouts you are, okay? What are you sellouts? The only way to oppose this draconian over-regulation is to ignore it. Don't comply. Now, I'm not saying break the law. I would never incite people to break the law. What I'm saying is, don't fly. It's winter in the UK. You don't want to go out in the snow and the driving gales and wind to fly a model. Sit at home and do some building or watch my videos and just wait. Wait until the CAA and the government realise, oh, this isn't working. Nobody's really signed up. But already I think 40,000 have signed up. What are you doing, you idiots? You're just encouraging them to do this, to tax you and to put you on an offenders list. And why would you not want to be on the offenders list? Why would you not want to register? Well, if we look to America, you'll see why. Now, there's a guy in the States, in Nevada. He registered his drone, as all good law-abiding people should do, and then he flew it. And unfortunately, something went wrong, and it flew away. It just off into the distance and landed beside an active runway at, I think it was Reno Airport or something. Oh no, that's bad news, isn't it? So the FAA said, whoa, this is terrible. We're going to fine you. We're going to make an example of you for daring to fly your drone within 5 miles of an airport. And so, of course, they found him easy. They got the drone, looked at the number, looked him up on the offenders register. This is the guy, $20,000. That's what he got fined, $20,000. Now, the fine for not registering is much less than that, far less than that. You'd probably be lucky if you got a fine of $1,000, maybe $5,000 if you were really unlucky. But this guy registered, did it all right, and then something went wrong and his drone flew away and he got pinged $20,000. Now, if you're in the UK, the fine for not registering, I think, is £1,000 maximum. It's a maximum, £1,000. Do you want to take the risk that something goes wrong and your craft flies away and goes near an airport and then the police look at the registration number and you get fined a similar amount? I wouldn't take the risk, no. I'd rather opt for the smaller fine, please. So, yeah, you've been warned. You have been warned. There is no need to register. There are so many alternatives. As I say, don't fly over winter. Just enjoy the warmth of sitting inside by the fire. Or fly sub 250. There are a lot of sub 250 craft coming out now, and some of them are very capable. I have my review of the Zod Dart 250 coming out very shortly, which isn't as good as I thought it would be, but it's still, it's still a nice little craft once you get it in the air and flying, and it's got good endurance, good range in terms of, because it's got a long flight time. So, but watch for that review coming up. I've got a few little bits and pieces to finish up. You will see that. And of course, there is the Outlaw 250, and you've all seen the video. Oh no, you haven't. I haven't finished. That video is the bane of my life. It's I will be getting it out though for my UK friends. If for no other reason than you guys need an alternative, and the Outlaw 250 is your alternative. You can fly it legally without having to register, and it handles really rough weather anyway. You've seen me flying mine and near gale force winds. You can fly it in the typical UK winter when the rain is colder than in the summer. So that's what you got to do. Please, if you guys don't stand up and fight for your rights, you're going to lose them. You've already lost so many of them. You're going to lose the rest of them. It's only a matter of time, as my friends in the Airline Pilots Union say, before the now they've got a list of all the drone owners. That's when they come and say, yeah, well, sorry, you can't have a drone anymore. It's too dangerous. Somebody could stab someone with a drone. Yep, they could. And then where would we be? Can't possibly let people have things you can stab people with. Oh, hang on a minute. Knife crime. No, don't worry about that. Ignore what I just said. And this disease that is drone registration is spreading around the world. It's Japan has just announced that you have to register your drones over there very shortly. You'll have to register your drones. And because in Japan everything is smaller, Japan's got, it's the nation of tiny things. All the little houses are smaller and the cars are smaller. And according to the women, other parts are smaller. They're not happy about that, but that's what I've been told. But they want everything smaller. So in the USA, in the UK, in Canada, in just about every other country in the world, the lower threshold for registration is 250 grams. If you are flying something less than 250 grams, then you don't have to register. In Japan, they've made it 200 grams because everything's smaller in Japan. I don't know why. Why? Just because it's a cultural thing. It's the way Japanese work. It's, small is good. I don't know. But that's what's happened. So what DJI have done, and they did it before this was announced, so they're obviously got some good contacts inside the Japanese regulators office. DJI announced a 199 gram version of the Mavic Mini because they use a smaller battery. It doesn't reduce flight times very much, but it brings it under 200 grams, so you can fly that in Japan without having to register. Good work, DJI. You thought that one through, and you've got the right contacts to do it. So there you go. And now in Australia, registration is going to come in. Now they put it off, and they're doing some interesting stuff in Australia. I was on the Drone and Sundry webcast this week, and I was talking to a lawyer called Tom in Australia, and apparently they're going to draw a clear distinction between radio control models and drones, or RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft systems. And they seem to be going to do it solely on the basis of operation, the type of operation you're engaged in. It's a little bit like Canada and a little bit like EASA rules. They're going to say, if you're flying something, I don't care what, but if you're flying something over a grassy field in the middle of nowhere, miles from civilization, and without a risk of hurting anybody, you're flying an RC model, and so you've got a set of rules to work with. However, if you're flying that same craft or a different craft in an urban environment or in a place or conducting some kind of operation where you could represent a danger to personal property, then it's an RPAS, and it's a whole different set of rules and of course registration. So this is going to be interesting to see. It's all a bit unknown at this stage. That's just the concept, that's the model they were going to use, but it's yet to be firmed out, and the legislation hasn't been written. So we'll see what happens in the long run. It's a shame because Australia went from having the best drone rules in the world, now looking like they're going to be just crap like everybody else. That's bureaucrats for you. And here in New Zealand, land of the long white cloud, our regulators are being bullied by government and government departments to bring in registration for drones. And as I've said, I will never register. They can fine me till I'm bankrupt. They can lock me up. I'm not going to register. They will not criminalize my hobby just because they don't know what they're doing. It's not going to happen, right? So, but they want evidence. They want proof. They want to be able to show by popular consensus that drone registration is a good thing. So what have they done? Well, they have, first of all, you'll recall if you're a regular viewer of this channel, a couple of years ago now, I think, the CAA commissioned a survey. And I said to everyone, go and fill out this survey because you don't have to be a New Zealander to do it. Just anyone in the world, fill out the survey and tell them what you think. So a lot of people did. They got a really good response to that survey. It was a better response than the UK CAA got to their first survey. And we're a nation of 1/10 the population. So it was great, lots of responses, but it didn't give them the answers they wanted. So they commissioned a new survey. If you don't get what you want the first time, just change the questions, because anyone who's been involved in demographics and statistics knows that you can shape the response by carefully choosing your questions. And so they did a new survey, and with different questions designed to elicit the responses they wanted in order to enact the changes they were planning. So they did a second survey, and that came along, and it still didn't give them exactly what, it was better than the first one, but it still didn't give them the responses that they wanted to justify the changes they were planning to introduce. So now they've done a third survey. And again, they are trying to elicit exactly the responses they want. So they can say, oh, the majority of people want drones registered. So how would you do that? Well, this isn't the question that was asked, but this is just an exaggeration of the way it works. If you want someone to come out in favour of drone registration, you ask them a multiple choice question. You say, choose one of the following. I would rather be shot or hung or support drone registration. Which of those three do you choose? People are going to go, oh, I'd rather support drone registration, thank you. And then they go, right, see, everyone supports drone registration because the alternatives were ridiculous. And that's effectively what's happening with this survey in New Zealand. And they want to get a certain set of answers they can use to then justify their changes. I'm hoping that they're not going to get it. But the questions were very carefully worded. An example of how silly it was is at the end they had a little form. They said, are there any other comments you'd like to make? And I thought, yes, I will like to make a lot of comments. So I sat there laboriously typing away, paginating, spell checking, cross-referencing, including links and references, until I'd completed 3 days worth of work. And I thought, this is it. This is the convincing argument. They can't ignore this. And I hit the send button and it said, error. You have used more than the available 1,024 characters in your response. Oh no, 1,024 characters? Why didn't they tell me that before I spent 2 days coming up with a response to answer their question and to give them more information? No, we can't do that. So you wasted all that time because whoever did the survey couldn't even be bothered saying, in 1,024 characters or less, tell us anything else you'd like to know. No, so obviously they don't want people coming along with convincing arguments and cases and evidence and logic to back up what they're claiming. They just want you to put something short and trite which they can ignore quite easily. This is the trouble when you've got bureaucrats driving. Because to be honest, CIA themselves, they're pretty good in New Zealand. They've been pretty good. But now they're being driven by politicians. They're being driven by government agencies that are very much driven by politicians. So there's basically what's happened is the politicians have said, we want this. And so their Ministry of Transport have said, righto, we'll give you this. And they've gone to CIA and CIA said, no, this is better. And they said, no, we want that. But this is better. We want that. This is better. We're having that. We don't care what you say. You're going to deliver that because we tell you what to do. And so CIA go, oh, and that's it. We get that because that's what the politicians want. They don't know it. They don't know diddly squat about drones or aviation safety or anything else, but they know what they want. And so they just direct the CIA to do what they want. And of course, everyone's got to earn a living. You can't say no to your boss. That's what happens. You end up with really crap regulation based on articles that were published in the Daily Mail. What can you do? Anyway, I know what I can do. I'm just not going to comply. I will not comply. I will not register. Never, 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 ever register. And as I've said before, if they want to lock up a 67-year-old man for playing with children's toys, good luck to them. Good luck to them indeed. We'll see what happens. That's it, I think, for the news. My phone. One moment. So there we go. That's it. As I say, that's the end of the news. The comments to the commentary piece, please. If you like the video, thumbs up. If you don't like it, what's wrong with you people? And thanks to my Patreon supporters. No mid-roll ads in any of my videos. I don't know. It's not a good day for interruptions. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.